All
Do
right, we're
it.
live.
Do it.
So we're joined here today by Adrian, who I think we've talked about. I know I've mentioned several times about Pi image search.
Yep.
So welcome, Adrian.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we got a chance to all meet up at MicroConf, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
it was. So, what's the topics? What's the haps? I know I want to pick Adrian's brain about your whole Kickstarter thing. We
Yeah,
talked about
sure.
that some at MicroConf. So for the rest of the world that was not at MicroConf, um, tell us what you did with that, and kind of give us the high level overview of how you ran that Kickstarter campaign and made it so freaking wildly successful. And I'm going to be copiously taking notes in my head because I want to do this.
Yeah, totally. So I run a blog called piimagesearch.com. It's basically related to teaching programmers, developers, and entrepreneurs how to write software to understand the contents of an image. This is really, really easy for humans to do. We could easily look at a photo and be like, oh, it's a dog, or oh, it's a cat. But a computer, like, it has no clue at all. It just sees a big matrix of numbers.
there is
So,
that lamp picture, though. You know what I'm talking about?
which lamp picture?
Like this.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that a lamp? Or yeah, that
Is
one I
that a
have.
lamp or like a sexy lady or?
Or two faces looking at each other. Or
Yeah. So,
Sorry.
so I run this blog and I teach people how to write software to perform stuff like face recognition, face detection, train your own custom object detectors, so to count the number of hands or number of fingers on your hands, all that fun stuff. And I sell an info product, an ebook related to it. And around January of last year, I was like, the ebook's doing well. I wanna build a much larger, in-depth course that is more immersive, can teach more advanced concepts. And I was going back and forth. I'm like, man, how am I going to get the money to build this? At the time, I wanted to license some specific technology, and it wasn't cheap. And I decided I'll run this Kickstarter. I don't need a ton of money. I just need some money, but I'm more interested in the validation. So that was my first assumption, is that Kickstarter is good if you need a little bit of money, but it's better if you want to validate your product. And that's what I really, really recommend people
Right.
in the entrepreneur space do if they're trying to validate a product. I mean, you can raise a little bit of money, you get to increase your customer or increase your subscriber base with actual real customers, and you get validation on an idea. Like, it's just a win across the board.
Nice.
So I needed to figure out how to run this Kickstarter campaign. And one of the questions I always get asked, or people always ask, is like, what in the world do I set the target goal? Do I set it at exactly what I need? Like, so let's say I needed $10,000. Do I raise exactly $10,000? Do I set my funding goal, let's say half that at 5,000, and hope I get overfunded to reach that 10,000? Do I double what I want just in case shit happens and I need more money? Do I set that $20,000? I mean, like, it's such a hard question at the surface, but once you dig into it, it's normally not that hard. Um, and the reason I say this is because what happens in the first 2 to 7 days of your Kickstarter normally determines if it's going to be funded or not. If you can reach about 30 to 50% of funding within the first 7 days of your Kickstarter, you're probably going to be funded.
Mm.
So given that, you normally set your target goal to be a little bit less than what you actually need. When I say a little bit less, that's kind of a relative term. That could be anywhere from 25% less to 50% less. Um, that's pretty much what I did. I set my target goal for the Pi Image Search Gurus course to be $2,500, and this was going to cover licensing various software technologies. It was going to cover some of my time for writing the course. I didn't need a ton more money than that. I probably needed about 3,500, maybe 4,000 at the very, very most. But I knew that I needed to set the number slightly lower just so I would get funded faster.
Mm-hmm. So what's the point of getting funded faster? What does that really do for you?
So the faster you get funded is more validation on the Kickstarter side of things. So people who are searching for projects to fund on Kickstarter, who stumble on your page from Twitter or Facebook or from wherever else, when they see that 100% funded sign, hanging on your Kickstarter, they're
Right.
that much more likely to fund it. It's just social validation.
So does that social validation? Well, I guess for me personally, I've looked at a number of Kickstarters that I wanted to back, and I've seen, oh, it's got 3 days left and it's nowhere near its goal, so I'm not going to back it. But I guess then there's that gray area of, well, it's halfway to its goal, but there's a lot of time left. I wonder if it would be worthwhile. So I guess the social validation there is really getting past that hurdle. People seeing, oh, hey, this campaign got funded already. It's got a ton of time left. Clearly, he's going to do this. Let's get in on this for cheap.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's a way you can game the system, I will say, to help you get funded faster. And this requires that you have an audience already of some sort, whether from running a previous application, running a blog. It assumes you have an email list of some sort or a method to get in front of these people, the people on your list. So in the Kickstarter world, it's very common to have what they call early bird backer rewards. These are people who come in within normally the first 24 to 48 hours and back your project. And what you do is you give them a ton of value for not a lot of money. The way I think of this is like if you were to take on an investment, you're not raising a lot of money initially, but you are giving away a decent chunk of your company for cheap. And it's kind of the same for this Kickstarter. You're not giving away any of your company, but you are giving away the end product for cheap, just so you can get these initial backers.
Right.
So with that in mind, I was like, well, I want to raise $2,500, or I want to raise $2,500. I need to seed this somehow. I need to get most of the way there in the first 48 hours, and I want to introduce this concept of early bird backers. So I just sat down and I reverse engineered it basically. I worked backwards. I'm like, okay, well, how many early bird backer slots do I need to offer to get to that 2,500 spot immediately? Yeah. And then once I had that, I knew once I sold out all my early bird backers, I would be there. I would be at my goal, and anything past that is just extra. I won't say it's extra profit because it went into the development of the product, but it's extra funding that you can use as you develop the product.
Nice. So what were the levels of the early bird backer goals? How did you figure out what the awards or prizes or whatever they call them are, and the pricing levels of those early birds?
Yeah, so again, that was all derived from what I wanted to charge at the end of the day when the course would launch a year and a half from the Kickstarter.
Right.
So my end goal was I wanted to charge $70 a month to join the course, or $700 a year. For the Kickstarter, I just kind of trimmed that down, and I said, well, I'm going to offer 5 early bird backer slots where you can get in at $25 a month. Okay. And I'm going to offer 3 early bird backer slots where you can get in at $250 a year. So you're getting these massive discounts. Yeah. But the benefit is that you're just getting your Kickstarter funded so much quicker. But I didn't stop there. So I had tiers at $25 a month, tiers at $35 a month, $45 a month, and then there was the final the public tier once all the backer or the early bird backer rewards ran out at $55 a month. And I had multiple yearly tiers. So you had $250, $350, $450, and then the final one was $500 a year.
Nice.
And that was the normal. All the early bird backers ran out.
Yeah.
For those monthly tiers, how does that work? Because you're basically selling a subscription, right? So can you do that? Does Kickstarter have a way to set up recurring payments like that?
You cannot sell a subscription on Kickstarter. I found this out when I launched the Kickstarter for Rails Clips.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sell like a series of videos of a certain length. They really don't like you even selling like 1 month's worth of access to whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so you basically say you're going to get this set of stuff.
So it's just another way of pricing the yearly then, in effect?
I don't know if I would call it that, because you don't know what the lifetime value of these customers are going to be.
Right. So I'm just curious so what did that actually look like for you when people bought the $25 a month level? What happened? Did they pay you $25 or?
Yep. So there's a $25 a month Kickstarter reward, and that costs $25. And when I had the course about halfway done, I released it online to my Kickstarter backers, and they basically reserved the right to pay $25 a month for the course versus paying the normal $70 a month. So
Right.
when they hit the sign up and registration page, they didn't see $70. They paid $25 to go.
So
Right.
what they bought was a coupon.
Essentially, yeah.
Oh, okay. So they paid $25 upfront for a coupon, and then to actually get any access, they still had to pay more?
Yeah, they had to pay. They were reserving reserving, I guess, a recurring coupon. So you would always be paying $25 a month.
Kind of like paying points on your mortgage. Gotcha.
So when the Kickstarter once I set up the Kickstarter campaign before I launched it, then I needed to create this actual launch plan. And I knew the initial funding was going to come from my previous customers from the blog, the people on my subscriber list. So I treated it like any other product launch. You go out there and you say, all right, I'm gonna prime the pump. I'm gonna send out these launch emails, get people excited a week before, send out the emails about scarcity regarding the instant access memberships, and finally on launch day, send out the Kickstarter campaign
Nice.
link. What was really cool about that was I planned at starting the Kickstarter campaign at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That's when I was going to click the go live button. But I actually needed to start it about 2 minutes beforehand at 9:58 a.m. because I needed to get that link to populate my Twitter feed, my Facebook feed, the actual launch email. So I did that, and before I had the time to click send and drip to send out the broadcast, people were already backing the project. They were actually on Kickstarter searching for pie image search and hitting refresh over and over and over again, waiting for it to come up.
That's building some anticipation.
Yeah.
It's like there's a whiskey distillery here in Waco where I live, and they send out an email about once a quarter saying they're going to have this one of a kind, one-time limited release of some bottle of whiskey, and they send emails to hundreds of thousands of people around the world. You have to be in the store in Waco on the day that they release it, but they send out these emails so that you can buy a ticket to show up at the store on the day of release. And there will be people, I mean, I've done this myself a few times, sitting on the website, hitting refresh, 10 minutes, refresh. Because as soon as you get a ticket spot, you get in. And they'll sell out of their 800, 900 tickets or whatever it is within a few minutes. And people will fly in from all around the world to pick up that one-time limited release of that bottle of whiskey.
That must be a damn good bottle of whiskey.
It's a little overhyped, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, so
I have a question on this because I've done a Kickstarter campaign in the past and I kind of blew it.
It got funded.
It got funded, but I didn't deliver everything, and I'm working on doing that now. And so I've reached out to everybody, and I'm like, look, I'm going to give you a whole bunch more videos here by the end of April. I actually said April 30th, so I'm working on those videos right now. But I'm thinking about doing this for the next product I put up, but I'm worried that my history on the previous product or project will hurt me as far as people signing up.
I really don't think your previous Kickstarter performances matter a whole lot. I know a guy who's ran 2 failed Kickstarter campaigns before he finally landed the 3rd, and then on the 4th he failed, and the 5th he succeeded. I'd say they're pretty independent of each other. And I don't think, and I also don't think the Kickstarter, the company itself, puts too much weight on what your previous.
Yeah, I mean,
previous
how many
performances are.
hundreds of thousands of failed campaigns are there? And it seems to me even the ones that are successfully funded often end up failing afterwards due to other unforeseen problems. And I mean, there's always that potential risk section of the Kickstarter campaign. So it's a risk for everyone involved, including the people that are backing the projects. And I think that's well known and accepted.
So I may have issues with people who backed the previous project, but that's about it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but that's true of any product. That's not Kickstarter specific. So if you write an ebook or write half of an ebook and sell it, pre-sell it, and then never write the second half or not fully finish it, I mean, that's totally independent of what mechanism you're using to collect payments and distribute the content.
Yeah.
But you definitely don't want to burn your seed. Like, I mean, any of these things today, right? Like, anyone who has a successful book launch or Kickstarter campaign or anything like that today, it's always what's behind the scenes is their email list that their seed audience that makes them successful. So you definitely want to be careful with that, because if you do burn that relationship, then you won't be able to utilize that for whatever you're launching.
But again, I'll say that's not specific to Kickstarter though.
Yeah.
So on the validation side of the Kickstarter things, clearly if you get your project funded, that's some validation that there is an audience of people willing to pay for this. So I think that's a fairly apparent one. But when we were in Vegas, you talked about how you were using the different reward tiers as validating subsections of the market.
Yeah, so the pricing is always an issue when you launch a new product, and you got to figure out what people are willing to pay. And that was one.
Pay for.
Yeah, and that's why I would like doing early bird backer tiers a lot, because it allows you to create these different tiers of pricing, allows you to limit them, and then it also allows you to create this public tier. You know, if you back the project, you came in later and still wanted to back it, and you can measure how fast the early bird tiers sell out, and if they sell out super quick, then you say, well, that was either urgency or that was people thinking it's very much worth the money.
Yeah.
So you assume that you're you limit the super discounted tiers. Those will sell out, obviously. What you're more concerned about is the upper tiers and the public tiers, because that's what you're hoping to charge later on. And if you can start selling those later on, that's what really, really matters.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
So in my case, I launched the Kickstarter campaign. I mentioned how people were like mashing the refresh button trying to get the page. The $2,500 was raised in about 15 minutes, and the day closed I think around 6,000 or 7,000.
Nice.
And then about 30 days later, the Kickstarter closed at almost 35,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and in order to get that, I mean, I wanted to validate the product more than just pinging my list. So I needed to drive traffic to the Kickstarter campaign from people who had probably never heard of me before. And in order to do that, I went out and I looked for newsletters related to Python, and then bought advertising in their lists. But I didn't release any ads whatsoever until the Kickstarter campaign was over 100% funded, because that's just that's just more social validation. And social validation that I don't have to do because all they have is they just have to look at the Kickstarter campaign and be like, oh, this is overfunded by 500%. Clearly, a lot of other developers think this is pretty cool.
Nice. So one thing that I'm also wondering about, you mentioned validating pricing. So with your early bird tiers or your reward tiers, can you do that with those to see where people are willing to put the money in? Because usually you also get more with the higher tiers, and so I'm wondering, can you find out, oh, my pricing is good or my pricing is bad? I'm asking too little or too much.
So you would let the results speak for themselves. If you sold out of your super cheap early bird tiers, but then only sold about half of your mid-range early bird tiers and none of your upper range early bird tiers, and then zero of your more public tiers, that is a lot of that raises concern for two reasons. One, maybe you didn't do a good enough job marketing it and driving people to the web page, to the Kickstarter campaign. Or the more concerning issue is maybe your pricing was just totally, completely off, and people aren't willing to pay for it.
Yeah, the product market fit,
Yeah.
the marketing aspect of it. There's a lot of things that could be going wrong there, but it seems at a very basic level that the pricing structure would be wrong for if you're in that situation, and then you would have to evaluate: is it just the price, or is it the product market fit, or is it whatever else?
And I really wouldn't recommend launching a Kickstarter campaign for an idea you had 48 hours ago.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like you need to reach out to your list and send a couple surveys.
Yeah.
And in my case, I was like, I'm thinking of building this course. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
What do you guys what would you like to see included in the course?
Yeah.
And I listed out price ranges and said, what would you be comfortable paying for the course? So you have to do a little bit of research beforehand. But once you think you have something that is ready for the next stage, like you've moved on from the survey stage and you're looking for, are people going to pull out their credit cards for this?
Yep.
That's when you run the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Cool. Now we're all going to do Kickstarters for all of our.
Yeah, no, I've been seriously considering this as something I want to do this summer. Right now, I'm running a million miles an hour trying to get a bunch of other things that I took away from MicroConf put in place. I'm upping my prices. I'm getting rid of my monthly subscription, going to an annual only. But at the same time, I'm changing the marketing aspect of this away from a subscription model and slowly but surely moving it toward product sales, info product sales that offers a 1-year all-access pass. So the marketing aspect of it changes as I'm doing this, and there's a lot of things, a lot of other ancillary things going on with this. But while I'm doing all of this, I've got this idea in the back of my head that I want to run a Kickstarter for some additional work that I've wanted to do on Node.js architecture this coming summer. There's a series of interviews that I want to do. There's some ebooks that I want to write. There's more high-level ideas that I want to record. There's some more low-level ideas I want to. There's a lot that I want to do around the Node architecture side of things with the application that I've been building for my screencasts already, and I think with the combination of the customer survey that I've already run over the last week, 2 weeks, got really good feedback on that. The information that you're talking about today, and then the experience and ideas that I had from a product launch like this last year, I think I could very successfully create a Kickstarter and bring in $50,000, $100,000 off of this product launch, over a 6-month period of time. I might not get close to that on the Kickstarter side of things, but if I put in, a $2,500, maybe $5,000 funding goal, I've launched $10,000 product launches, info product launches off of my mailing list, which only has about 5,000 people. So if I could do that pretty easily on Kickstarter with my mailing list, and then go for the bonus tiers and the extras and the things beyond the initial funding after that, and turn this into a pretty darn powerful learning course for node architecture.
And what would be really cool is if you were, let's say you were struggling with determining what chapters you wanted to include. I mean, there's obviously the base set of chapters that every architecture book is going to have, but then let's say you want to do like case studies or advanced chapters, and you had an idea of what you thought would be good, but you weren't entirely sure. You could almost treat the Kickstarter tiers as ways for people to vote on what they wanted to see. So there could be a tier for
a second there.
Yeah, like you could basically I was saying you could like create these tiers where you could vote on whatever chapter you wanted to see. So it'd be like drop a dollar into this box.
Oh, right.
Chapter.
Yeah, I saw Kyle Simpson do that with his You Don't Know JS series. He had a core set of books that he was writing, and then he had a series, a list of options for one or two additional books that he would do if he got past certain funding, and he chose the winners based on who put their money into which bucket. So there's the ES6 and Beyond, I think it was one of the extra books that was an option, and enough people put money into that bucket that he ended up writing that one.
It's a good technique to use for for more validation.
More validation. So you've got the validation that the product itself is good, and now you can really narrow down and focus into what people really want, and just provide that much more value on top of the already validated product.
Yep.
You're also using the influence. One of the in that Robert Cialdini book, The Influence, like the people tend to stick with what their previous opinions or judgments are. So like if they've already voted, then you've put them one step closer to purchasing, because they're going to consistency. Yep.
And I will say there's a fine line you have to walk with this, because Kickstarter does not allow you to sell existing products or products that are essentially done, and you're just selling pre-launches into them. I mean, you need to be using the funds in a demonstrable manner to actually create the product.
Yeah, definitely. And in my case, I would be, because there's a fair number of people that I need to have compensation for their time for the interview series. I haven't written any of the ebooks yet, so that will definitely take time. Getting that, edited and formatted appropriately and all that. I mean, I'm probably going to end up using LeanPub to actually produce the PDFs and other formats, but even still, getting an editor and finding the time to write the books, and there's a lot of time and money involved in producing this package. And I did this with RabbitMQ last year, just entirely on my own time, and they ended up launching to about $8,000 off my mailing list, and brought in about $15,000 over the next 6 months. So it was pretty successful on its own, and I think getting funding and having the validation like you're talking about could be a huge success for me. And then growing my audience beyond where it is right now would also be really nice.
Yep.
And I could use my existing the work that I'm currently doing to create the all access pass. I could have that as some of the reward tiers, even for the early bird, but also for the public side. Spend X dollars to get just this package, or spend X plus Y to get this package plus the all access pass to the rest of what's out there.
That's pretty much what I do with the Kickstarter as well. So I mean, again, I wrote an ebook. I was like, well, this ebook already exists. Why don't I get hard copy editions of this book made, and I'll throw those into the Kickstarter rewards as well.
Nice.
So that was a fun experience, getting about 200 copies of your book printed and mailed to you, and then packing all those envelopes. That was a long weekend.
Yeah, I bet. But still, that's got to be nice to hold that book, to be able to flip through the pages. I mean, producing an ebook is pretty cool, and I'm certainly, I've got a number of them now, but having that physical print book would be pretty amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. I have a question here. You talked about people actively refreshing the page to see the Kickstarter before it came up. I'm curious, what kind of marketing did you do before the Kickstarter campaign so people were actually out there actively trying to find it when it came up?
So I did mainly email marketing. I posted on my blog, obviously, that I was going to be running these Kickstarter campaigns, or this Kickstarter campaign. And then for email, there was I think there were 10 emails sent over a 7-day period, or maybe it was 7 emails over a 10-day period. And one was just an introduction. Hey, I'm getting ready to launch this Kickstarter. Here is a very short blurb about it. The next one was, this is what's going to be covered in the Kickstarter in the course, and here's a little bit more details. The third one went into much more detail, and it's like, this is the exhaustive list of topics I'm going to cover in this course, and if you back the Kickstarter, you can help influence other topics I read as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I explained the pricing structure, so the early bird backing tiers. I explained all of that in detail in a separate email.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all the hype was created.
Mm-hmm.
And email after that was a reminder for people to set their calendars, and then a day before the Kickstarter there was an
That's
email.
brilliant.
Yeah, the day before the Kickstarter was a reminder email, and then obviously day of was a blast as well.
I mean, you could go so far as to include, here's a calendar attachment to mark the date and time.
Yep.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I really like it. So you just sent that to your entire list?
Yeah.
You didn't have like a segment of the list that was especially interested in it or anything like that?
I could have taken the time to figure out which segment of the list was most interested, simply by looking at email opens related to who filled out the survey, who was a previous customer. But I didn't really care as much about that because I was going to be hitting that list a few times after the Kickstarter was hopefully funded anyway. So I emailed all of them at once, just to catch anybody who was interested that funded the campaign, and then from there I was able to continue to send out emails, and people who were on the fence saw that it was funded and then also came in and backed the project.
Awesome.
So I guess theoretically, if you really were really concerned about reducing people churning out your list, you could segment it and use those people as your seed people for the Kickstarter campaign. But I guess my opinion there is you run a lot more risk of not getting that big bang up front.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it on this show that I'm writing an ebook, and I've gotten encouragement from, I think, all of the, Josh, John, and Derek, and several other people as I've been talking to them, and then as I've actually been writing the book, it's become pretty apparent to me that a course would be a very, very helpful way to go.
Yes.
And so I'm looking at that and thinking about all of the extra work that's going to go into that, and thinking, yeah, a Kickstarter campaign would be a really good way to go for this. And so I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how do I hit this and hit it in the right place so that people are going and checking it out and buying it. The other thing I have to point out, though, is that the majority of the people on my list are experienced programmers, and the product is aimed at less experienced programmers who are trying to get their first job. And we do have plenty of those, but it's a smaller segment of the list.
Well, I would wonder if that's, like, what are you basing that on? Because I'm not sure that that's true, and simply because of the numbers of programmers and how many of them are experienced, right? Because so many people are coming into the field, and then so many of the experienced programmers are leaving the field. There seems to be like this ratio of like 90% new programmers and 10% experienced ones.
Yeah, you're right. I'm making an assumption. I haven't actually tested that hypothesis in any way.
That would be a good survey question. How many years have you been a programmer?
Yeah.
Chuck's list is a little interesting because he's building it off of a podcast that's probably has a much higher quality, higher experience level audience versus blog traffic from Google. So it's definitely, I think he probably has a much higher ratio of like experienced programmers, but yeah.
It's also good to, like, I've sort of changed my view on this. I love it when people unsubscribe from either my YouTube or from my email list, because it means I'm doing things right. Like I want to I want you to leave. Right.
So John's list
I'm,
goes to
I'm
zero, and he's
just
like,
gonna.
yes,
I'm sending
I
an
did
email.
it
All
right
right.
for everyone.
I'm typing an email. I'm in Scrivener now, and the subject line is "I want you to leave."
Exactly. Get the fuck out. Do not want you.
That's the subject of the email. GTFO.
But it's true because like when you polarize, like polarizing is just been better as I've like people are way more super fans
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
because they don't no one wants moderate. No one like they either are want to be into your stuff or not. Like so
Mm.
I think it's totally worth like I mean if you I wouldn't ever worry about like unless you're just going a totally different direction, I wouldn't worry about
Yeah.
having people unsubscribe from your list. If they
Right.
do, that's fine. Dude.
I mean, I lose. I ran an average on my unsubscribe rate a couple of days ago, and I lose an average of 0.2% of my list for every single email that I send.
Right.
But I send 5 emails a week.
Yep.
So I lose 1% of my email list every single week.
Yep.
And then on top of that, I send out a whole bunch of other emails to various people at various times for different segments for different reasons. So my mailing list it grows at a trickle pace. You know, in the last month, it's gone from 5,200 to 5,300 to maybe 5,400 over the last 2 months. You know,
Yeah.
so it grows at a trickle pace, but I'm getting a constant influx of new subscribers that still makes it grow even beyond
Right.
that 1+% of people that I lose every week.
And you're
Yeah.
getting good subscribers, right?
Right.
It's
I'm
also and people are going to unsubscribe anyway, right?
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
better for someone to unsubscribe with a middle finger and say, "I hate you, you're
Right.
annoying," rather than they unsubscribe and then their reason is, "Oh, you're kind of just boring."
Yeah.
Like I've just been ignoring your emails for a long time and you're boring.
Right.
That's the worst because you're never getting them back. Those people are never. They're like, oh, that's once you're labeled as boring. But if you're labeled as a heretic or like annoying, they're gonna still buzz. Like they might even come back. Like you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
haven't lost them forever. Like
Yep. There was this Reddit thread that I randomly came across, and people were asking like, what's a good resource to learn OpenCV and computer vision, and one of the guys commented on this thread and said, you should definitely check out PyImage Search and his book Practical Python and OpenCV, but be worried his emails are fucking annoying. So I commented on him like, hey, by the way, like I run PyImage Search. I'm just curious, why do you think the emails are annoying? Like I'd love to hear your feedback. Don't hold back at all. And the guy responded, he was like, oh man, like I didn't know like you were on this subreddit. I'm like, I didn't mean it like that. I'm like, no, seriously, like if you think it's annoying, like tell me. I'd love to get the feedback. But it's one of those things where like, man, like sure, it pissed people off, and even if they unsubscribe, and if they find your emails annoying, if they buy your product, that's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah,
so what? It's just a weird situation.
besides, when someone says, and it's fine if they do that too, because people will still check it out for themselves. Because when someone says, "Oh, this stinks," what does everyone do immediately?
They start smelling. Yeah.
Right?
What?
So it's like it doesn't matter. The guy says, "Oh," so then like 100 people say, "Oh, well, I better sign up and see how annoying those emails
Yeah,
are."
exactly.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I lose 25 YouTube subscribers a day now.
You lose that many. Wow.
Lose that many.
Well,
I've-
I hacked YouTube, and I've been.
Yeah. I've got your login credentials. Sorry, John. I'm just going in and unsubscribing. So I'm starting to get some good feedback on and pushback on my YouTube videos. The one that I recorded earlier this week and emailed about people today, I've got 3 comments on there, 2 of them being positive, and one of them, he thought he was disagreeing with me, but I actually think what he said played perfectly with what I said, which is pretty funny.
Did you watch the video?
Yeah, well, he did. He very clearly watched it, and he had. This is actually a guy that I know, and
Okay.
I talk to on a pretty regular basis. And he had some really good commentary. I actually really appreciated what he wrote, but it was funny the way he couched it was I think you missed these points, and I think you're wrong because of these other things. And I'm reading his comment, going, no, that plays perfectly into what I said. So I'm starting to get some good traffic there. I've added about 40 new subscribers in the last month to my YouTube channel.
Do a follow-up video.
Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
could.
John just did a video where he responded to somebody who sent him an
Really good
email
idea.
and called him out and said, "You're gonna probably read this on your channel." And so he did.
Why, yes, I am.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
And
But
do you feel dumb now?
Yeah, Derek, like anytime you get those, like, and this was great because this was a very good move on John's part because it was basically like this guy was calling John out and saying he was turning Simple Programmer into an infomercial. So it was very it was a very unflattering, kind of comment. And so to just put it right out there in the open, and that gave John a chance to explain exactly what he's trying to do. So you kind of flip it around, and
Right.
like the nastier the email, you're letting them polarize
Right.
people
Yeah.
because by reading that out loud and having someone attack you,
Yeah.
their instinct is to, if they like you at all, is to kind of rush to your defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got about 20 comments of defenders that
Yeah.
jumped, the guys
Guy's
jumped
an
on
idiot.
through.
These
So-
are not infomercials, but wait, there's more.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more.
And I didn't really attack
it was
him
really
in the
funny.
video.
It was
Yeah,
really
like-
funny because John put every freaking product that he's ever created in the video. He was like, and my course here, and my other course, it was, which you should
It was-
buy.
Yeah, it gave
Yeah.
me the perfect opportunity to do it. It was funny.
Bye. Go, go, go. Sunday. Yeah.
So I set a new record with that video from yesterday of 18
Oh.
votes in one day.
Oh man.
It's got
Wow.
1,106 views. But here's the cool thing about it, right? Because remember, this is very divisive. So there's 1,106 views on it. It was released yesterday. It has 76 upvotes, 18 downvotes, and 21 comments.
Wow.
So it definitely spurred some
Yeah.
interest. So. And hopefully some good unsubscribes. But yeah.
So since we're
Oh,
go
go ahead.
now, I'm going to change the topic a little bit, so keep going.
Oh, I was just going to talk about because we were talking about the video. So
Yeah.
Derek said he saw 2 minutes of it, but it was pretty crazy for those that didn't see the video. So I was running on the beach in Pacific Beach, and I was like, I wonder if I should a couple things were going through my head. One of them was like, I'm not really. So a couple of people called me out. They're like, oh, you keep on giving this advice on on being confident in talking to women, but you're just giving the advice. So we don't trust you. Like a couple of people had emailed and said that. So I was like, okay, what could I do? What could I do? So I was running by and I saw these 3 girls that were sitting on the beach, and one of them kind of looked over. So I was like, I know what I'll do. I'll just go up and talk to 3 random girls. So I did, and so I just talked to them and introduced myself, and then afterwards, maybe 10 minutes later, I came back with my phone. And I went up to him again. I was like, "Hey, can I do a video? Can I interview you about what I just did? And what did you think of that? Did you think I was confident? Did it make And so I did. They agreed to it. So
Nice.
I recorded that, and it was pretty crazy.
It's the world's greatest camera workmanship as well. It's like you see the corner of John's head just kind of peeking around the bottom of the camera. He's clearly trying to get them in frame, and they're nowhere on camera.
Yeah, there's one tiny little speck of a person off, like a quarter of a mile off.
You see a person's foot every now and then.
but the rest of the video is okay. I got the camera down.
Yeah.
So that was just that's to get people to keep watching. So they're
Right.
like, I got to see what's going to happen.
There was actually nobody there.
Right. It was just Adobe After Effects putting people in.
But it's funny
Yeah.
because like is what's interesting too is like well, it was good too because it was like it was me overcoming a fear. I mean the initial talking it's not. I mean I don't know. I don't have any problem going up to three hot girls and talking to them, but going back with the camera that took some balls on my part.
Yeah, yeah. That
I was like oh gosh.
going back would be the
Yeah,
difficult
like,
part.
yeah.
I could see that going so terribly. Like
Yeah.
you're walking up there with like your camera and like a roll of 20s.
But no, well, yeah, I was like, but it was that point I was like, man, I'm just gonna go do it. I mean, well,
Yeah.
you kind of think like, what's the worst that could happen? Like the best that could happen is I'm gonna get an awesome video for
Yeah.
my channel, and the worst that could happen is that they're gonna say, no, dude, or
Get
they're
out of
not
here,
gonna
you
do
sleaze
that. They
bag.
should be polite. They're just gonna be polite and be like, no thanks, like you know what I mean. So that's it, right? So that's but it was fun. So it was good. Like it was a growth for me to be able to get the courage to be able to do that, which is good
Yeah.
because I want to do more of those kind of interview people on the spot type of videos. And so next I'm going to have to interview a homeless person.
There's a shortage of those around there,
Yeah.
from what I've seen.
But yeah, so that was pretty crazy. If you get a chance to watch it, let me know what you think. I have to fix my camera skills. It's always hard with that rear camera.
Yeah, you almost need if you got like a mirror. They might make a mirror. You could look for something like that you could stick on the back
Yeah,
because you're using the back camera. So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I'll have to maybe figure that out. But yeah, so new milestone for Simple Programmer channel of pissing people off. And it was funny, just as yesterday I got this invite to go meet like with the women in tech group.
Really?
So it's really interesting. So I've noticed this. I get a lot of emails from like women's groups in tech. And some of them are like they hate John Sonmez. It's like, oh, he is such a sexist asshole. But a lot of them are very much no. We want you to go and talk at our event, or we want you because I'm breaking down the like.
this reminds me of the Parks and Recreation episode where Ron Swanson got voted the Woman of the Year.
I haven't seen that episode, but I can imagine
It's
it's
pretty
probably
amazing.
something.
Of course, Leslie was really insanely jealous because that was like her lifelong
course.
goal.
But yeah, so it's fun. We'll see where it goes with this, but yeah.
So I did want to quickly ask. I have another question for Adrian about Kickstarter, and we've been talking about videos on YouTube, and I know that it's pretty popular to have a video on your Kickstarter campaign. How critical is that?
I think it depends on your funding goal. If it's low enough, it's not really a requirement. And when I say low enough, like maybe $500, $1,000 at the most. Anything above that, yeah, you should absolutely be creating a Kickstarter video. Higher the quality, the better. The way I created mine as a demo almost. And I love creating sales videos like this where I do all my programming in Python. So I wrote a Python program to access my webcam, and then I recorded my screen with Camtasia as I was doing all this.
Nice.
So as I'm talking and explaining the Kickstarter, you're seeing my face being detected and labeled in the image as like, oh hey, here's a box around Adrian's face, and there's a text label that clearly says Adrian. And then there's another cool part where I held up a license plate, and then it detected the license plate, and then I identified all of the characters on the license plate and overlaid it. And plus, you're seeing all this as you're watching my desktop, so you know that you're seeing the webcam or the view of the webcam, and then it's running inside the laptop. It was just really, really cool effect.
Yeah.
People, programmers especially, really dig that.
And if you hold a mirror in front of the webcam, then you get that back, that never ending. That used to happen to us at Trackabout when we were doing pair programming with Join Me. You'd open the Join Me window on the same window where you had Join Me running. chaos.
Yeah, we get that on Crowdcast during the conferences.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm wondering though is, for Derek, if he's putting together an ebook or a course or something for, say, Node architecture, should the video be him sitting in his office, kind of where he is now, and then, maybe some screen shares or whatever, or screencast a little bit, clips of this or that, and, showing him coding in Node and walking through some process? Or should he, for example, hire somebody to, go down to the park with him and, they manage all the lighting and everything else, and they take a video of him, and it's like, hey, I'm Derek and I'm selling this, and this is what the benefit's going to be, and this is what you're going to get out of it, and you should be so excited.
I mean, unless you're raising over $100,000, that's just that professional video is just so unnecessary. Just do it with your webcam and a decent mic.
Yeah, I've been recording audio and video for for more than half of my life. It's what I went to school for in college, so I can clearly do some decent editing and get some good audio quality out of this as well.
And for people without as much experience, I mean, I would say still just do it yourself.
Yeah.
If you were extremely self-conscious about it, then record it yourself and then hire someone to edit it for you.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have a backdrop I can put behind me, and I have a light that I can kind of put up here somewhere, and
I mean, you don't even need to put a backdrop up. In fact, I mean, I think Kickstarters are more interesting when you get the behind-the-scenes look. I mean, this is how this guy works. This is how he lives. This is what he's doing, and this is where he's living while he's creating this product. That's so much more cool and interesting than hanging up a backdrop.
Gotcha.
I can line up all my crochet toys on my monitor and have a camera behind me showing over my shoulder, literally watch me code. I mean, I'm serious about that too. I think that would actually be a really good effect.
It would be. I mean, when I created my Kickstarter video, I was sitting on my bed.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't doing anything special.
Yeah.
No, the more personality, the more authentic you could be, the more things you give people to connect with you, the better. I think.
Yeah, but if I'm being realistic, my 4-year-old will come in, Dad, can you tuck me in for my nap?
And you'd be like, not now, I'm making a Kickstarter video. And then done, keep that in there.
You could have a tier on there to put a lock on your door too,
Yes.
I need
a food slot.
Yes.
$4.95 for a deadbolt for this ridiculous door.
And you're gonna sell like 100 of those.
That's good to know, because I did that for Rails clips, and I only spent a few $100s, but yeah, I kind of wonder if it would have had the same effect if I had just stood here like this, and
I think you probably would have done better if you just stood there and gave it as much personality as possible.
Don't just.
It's weird. It's weird how video format works, right? Sometimes like it's really the content. It's not the production. Like I mean, I can tell you for sure. Like there's not a higher number of views or like engagement on higher production stuff, because I have extremely high production, and I have me shooting a camera at the sand.
Yeah.
At the sand in front of 3 girls that may or may not have been there.
Right, exactly. So yeah, but being authentic is more important. Like I'd say that the biggest flop that people do with video is when they're like, okay, now we're gonna talk about this, right? And they're just so much, if they're either reading a script or they're just not comfortable enough in front of the camera. So just practice getting loose.
I was gonna say, let me read from the screen.
Exactly. There's been plenty of Kickstarter videos where the video quality was terrible. The people were very clearly reading from a script, and they're still successful campaigns.
Yeah.
By the way, Adrian, you're a natural. Like, people love that video that I put up when you did it. Adrian told me he doesn't do video, right? And so, like, I interviewed him at MicroConf, and he was just, like, on the spot, like, no problems at all, like, just flowing.
I mean, I can do it. It just makes me more nervous substantially.
Do it more, and you'll be less nervous.
That's true.
Yep.
But then I have to edit it, or I have to hire someone to edit it, and then.
No, you don't. Why? I mean, just seriously, just put it out there. Just hit record and publish. That's
Can
the
you
way
use your
you
editing
start.
tools to whiten my teeth and give me a shave?
Hmm.
If you really want to be nervous, go do it on the beach there.
Yeah.
But
Good stuff.
Yeah.
oh, I got to
So-
tell you guys something I discovered. See this? It's called a line up.
A lineup?
I went to a barber and he's like, "Oh, I'll line you up." And I was like, "What does that even mean?"
Oh, he's trimming the little hairs so that it's all perfect.
No, they take a straight razor and they like make a perfect hairline
Yeah.
for you. It's pretty cool. I'm doing that from now on.
Nice. I literally cut my own hair with clippers. I hop in the shower with the giant clippers and just done. I don't care.
I've
I just don't want my hair being anything remotely long.
I've waited so long that I have to do that before I shave it again.
Yeah.
My girlfriend shaves mine with a straight razor
Nice.
every week.
Oh, nice.
It's like the best.
Is it like a real straight razor or disposable?
Yeah, it's a real straight razor.
Oh,
Is it a
goodness.
handcrafted, forged straight razor like
It-
Josh used to make though?
We haven't upgraded to that yet. That's
Yeah.
the next.
You need to talk Josh into getting out his ironworks and making you one.
That'd be
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. They use a Crocodile Dundee knife.
Totally. That's not a knife. This is a knife.
I shouldn't, but I'm going to.
Oh, he has a big giant crocodile.
Oh, no.
knife?
We're gonna be like banned.
Yes.
He's gonna like kill a kitten. Off the camera. He's gonna slit his throat.
He's gonna shave one of his kids live on camera with it.
So
what do we
yeah.
got? Holy cow.
Nice.
There
Nice.
we go.
Very cool.
My wife's stepdad. Sometimes he gets me stuff that's useful
Yeah.
for Christmas. This is a few years old. I've never actually used it, and it's not that sharp, but
I mean, the instances where you need to use that thing are fairly small.
Yeah,
right?
few and far between, hopefully.
well, next time I go camping, I'm going to chop a tree down with it. But
In those cases, it is extremely useful, though.
Yeah, like if you ever get attacked by a cougar, I think you might stand a chance with that thing. Go for the eyes.
yeah, the next time the church has a camp out, I'm thinking of taking it just for the shock value, right?
Totally.
What are you going to do with that? I have no idea.
I don't know. What do you
I
think
listen-
I'm gonna do with it?
No, what you need to do is bring a sheep on a leash and just walk around with the sheep. And just act totally casual when people just walk up to you and ask why you have a sheep and a knife. And you're like, well, why not?
What do you mean?
Why don't you?
Or not?
What do you mean? You didn't get the email?
Yeah, we're having fresh meat tonight.
Yes. So my Watch Me Code Slack has been starting out pretty dang awesome. I've got how many people in here? Got 17 people in it so far. 3 more invites waiting for people to join, and then I've got another 10 people, 10 or 12 people that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, about 10 people. Not quite 10 people that are wanting in. That I'm slowly sending out invites a few at a time each day. So it's taking off and moving along. There's a lot of people really excited about having this little channel, this little Slack team to chat and get help with, which has been awesome. And the email that I sent out on the subject of creating buzz and anticipation. So last week, Josh and I talked a lot about telling stories as a way to get people interested in doing something. And so I told a good story to invite people to the Slack channel. It was just a repost of a blog post that I did a while back on having a conversation with a friend after I was pulling my hair out for a few hours. And literally 30 seconds into the conversation, he asked me a question. Well, do you know this? Oh, of course I do. Well, yeah, perfect. These 5 lines of code and I'm done. And it was all about just changing that perspective and getting that one question in my head that led me to the actual solution to my problem. And so I told this condensed version of that story in my email and then ended the email with, don't ever feel alone again. Join the Watch Me Code Slack and get the perspective you need to solve the problems. And people like just went nuts over it.
That email was really good, Derek.
Thanks.
I like that email.
I had 15 people requesting access to the Slack within an hour.
Nice.
It was pretty awesome.
So are you adding them to Slack by hand?
Yeah, right now I am. There's Roush G on GitHub, Guillermo Roush, I think is his name.
Yep.
He wrote this Slackin tool, which is an Express app to automate adding people, which I'm going to use eventually, but it was easier for now just to create a real quick Google form and send people to that, and then I'm just manually keeping track of it. And that's allowing me to slowly let people in a little bit at a time, which has been good for me to manage the team, the Slack team, initially. I'm getting good feedback about the kind of conversations that are happening and the kind of channels that people are going to be wanting and stuff like that, so I can have it a little more organized and a little more involved and split out into subjects when the larger group of people start coming into it.
So is there any particular reason you decided to go with Slack over something like traditional forums like Discourse or?
There seems to be a trend from a lot of what I've seen and what Josh has seen and of communities through forums and discourse tend to take a while to take off if they ever do. There's a lot of ghost town private forums out there where people pay good money to get in and then there's nobody around, nobody talking. But Slack has, at this point in time, has a huge momentum, and people are already familiar with it, are already using it, are already in Slack all day long anyways. So why not have another Slack where I can go and get the in-depth help that I need for JavaScript? So that was really my decision for trying Slack, and it's been, I mean, crazy successful for the few emails that I've sent out and the little work that it's taken so far.
Yeah, I actually own 4 of those ghost towns and 1 active paid forum. So
in most cases, what I've seen, people have moved over to Facebook and then they take off because people are there all the time.
Right.
For programmers, Slack is kind of like Facebook.
And I have historically not been a big fan of Slack. Even when I was on a remote team, something about HipChat and Slack and all these messaging apps just kind of grated on me. But I got into it for MicroConf and started really making some good connections before the conference, and really enjoyed the experience with MicroConf. And so
you were all over that, man.
I was.
Yeah. Every time I switch over to that and be like, good grief, Derek, get some work done, man.
Seriously, geez. It's like I don't have a job or something. So that between the experience I had with MicroConf, Slack, and then just trying to find a good way to really build a community for Watch Me Code, it seemed like a pretty obvious choice to me.
One of my concerns, I had to make the same decision about 6 months to a year ago. I offer a private community forum for the course that I developed, and I was like, do I go with standard forums? Do I go with Slack? And what sold me on the forums is the permanence of the conversations, that they always exist. And as the business owner, I just felt like I would need to be involved on a semi-day-to-day basis just to make sure things were going smoothly. And within a Slack channel, that's almost just like creating another inbox that you have to maintain or answer.
Exactly.
That's why I didn't do it, because I'm like, I get so many freaking emails already.
That's a big part of why I have historically not liked Slack, for exactly that reason. And I find myself no longer spending a lot of time on Stack Overflow and now spending my time in Slack. And so I've essentially made a trade, and I'm okay with that. I didn't add something to my plate with Slack. I traded it for something else because I've been spending a lot of time on Stack Overflow in the last few months, and with great result. I've had a lot of really good traffic hitting my blog posts and my ebooks from Stack Overflow answers. But now I'm more focusing on the Slack side of things, at least initially. I think once it hits a critical mass, I might not have to be as involved as I am right now. I could hold office hours, things like that. But and on the permanent subject, that was a big concern. And what I'm already doing is taking some of the conversations that are happening in Slack and turning those into blog posts and turning those into screencasts and other forms of media where I can create the permanence out of the actual questions that people are asking.
That
Have
makes
you
sense.
have you launched that yet, Adrian? Like, have you had? Do you have a
forums?
forum? Yeah.
Yeah, so I launched the course and the forums back in June.
Okay.
So it's been online for a while. The course, I didn't finish writing it completely until about a month and a half, 2 months ago. So I've had people going through it.
How has the interaction on the forums been?
Well, yeah, what was that at my internet? I think.
How excuse me. How has the interaction on the forums been? Like, what kind of activity level do you see?
Yeah, extremely good. For a small community, I mean, there are 3 to 7 new posts per day,
Nice.
and I don't have to be involved.
Did he freeze for everyone or just me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it was. I was
I
wondering.
thought it was me because suddenly everybody stopped moving.
He's blinking. Blinking. Adrian, you're back.
You
Yeah,
there?
You froze for a second on
All
us.
right.
Yeah. So 3 to 7 posts a day. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's definitely not a ghost town.
No.
So
Right.
yeah. So you made it work.
And I think a lot of that is on the business owner's part to send out emails and get people back in and make sure they're engaged and create accountability and be like, you're part of this community. It's
Right.
your community to take an active investment in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What I really want to do is, so I'm working on my user onboarding as part of what I took away from MicroConf, and I haven't. That's like that's one of my longer term things after I get a lot of other things done right now. But I'm already thinking through it and starting to put together my email sequences, at least as an outline for that. And one of the things I really want to do long term is get some automation into Slack, not just from an adding people's perspective, but from a community interaction perspective, to have some way of notifying people that have been less active in Slack about the conversations that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably going to be some manual process where I, tag information or copy and paste information somewhere, but I want to have some automation around who has been and has not been active, so that they will be the less active people will be the ones getting the notifications. And I might start just by sending it out to everybody on a semi-frequent basis, but ultimately, if I can automate the process of telling people, hey, look what you've been missing out, then create that sense of the FOMO, fear of missing out, in people, and get them to come back and boost the community more.
I think doing that doing that via email can be really effective. So
Yeah.
that would be a good place to start, just by talking about
Right.
pulling that answer out of the Slack group channel and writing an email about it, like you're doing, like that.
Yeah,
And
there you
then
go.
Make sure that you have a call to action to join the channel, or
I do.
or if you don't,
Or
yeah,
I will, yeah.
yeah,
Just
or
shame.
at what point are you going to cut it off and say only paying members?
I want to get a good critical mass in there. I don't know that I will ever completely cut it off, but I won't make the sign up form publicly available. You would have to contact me and tell me why you should be in there, basically. Yeah. But the idea is, as soon as I get, I'm debating between one of two things. Either once I get a critical mass of 50, maybe 100 people, or I might just cut off the public sign up form on May 1st and just say, hey, from this point forward, you have to be a subscriber to be able to get your invite. But I'm not. I keep going back and forth on that. I want it to be. I want it to be a community of Watch Me Code subscribers, but I also want it to be
lively.
Yeah, lively and have more people in it. And not everybody in it right now is is a Watch Me Code subscriber. There's a fair number of people that are not.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, if you have advice on that.
I don't have a good sense for what the critical mass will be. It makes sense to get there.
Yeah. I guess critical mass would be more an observation of how active things are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you might even just hold it over time. Like promote it for a while and then not stop promoting it and just see if because what you don't want to happen is you don't want to cut it off and then have the activity just trail off.
Yeah,
over the next few weeks as people realize, oh, this isn't new and shiny anymore.
Right.
So look for it to stabilize.
Right.
Yeah, and you may have to do more work to start and maintain conversations until you hit critical mass.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm facing some of this with, like I said, the Ghost Town forums that I have set up for the different shows. And I've thought about moving to Facebook. I don't know, I keep going back and forth on that, but yeah, I'm thinking I might try and revive one forum at a time and see what I can make happen.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
One thing that I've seen, I think we talked about this last week, but you could set up, Chuck, one advantage of the forums is you could set up an autoresponder where you're calling out the best threads. And so after people join, 7 days after they get sent back to one of the best threads, and you kind of summarize it, and then you send them. They have to go there and log in to actually see and then what happens in the forum is that your best content keeps floating back up to the top because somebody will comment, and so you're kind of continually renewing those best discussions.
Ooh, I like that.
And it's all automated that way.
Yeah.
So, but you can't do that. That's one advantage of the forum that you can't do.
Yeah, you can't do that with Slack
or Facebook.
Right.
Yeah, and I can actually have Mandy do that, and then I can just do the quick write up if it's a deep tech that she's not, as familiar with.
Yep.
I like that. So basically, an onboarding drip sequence for people who join the forum.
Yep.
Yeah, and we've also done it in the past as kind of a benefit for donating to the show. And I think I'm just going to change that so it's a regular membership. So you pay $5 a month or something, and then you're in. And there's only one level. And then the people who are already in at whatever level they're giving to the shows at just retain access.
Right.
And so I would just, I think I'm just going to use MemberPress and then just have a quick little page for support or something for people who are in the forums if they need help. Yeah. And that way it's a little form they can fill in and say, I'm having this problem or whatever, and then we can double check things in Stripe.
Are you using Restrict Content Pro at all?
No, I have a license for MemberPress.
Okay.
I actually went to lunch with Blair Williams on Monday.
Nice.
He's the guy that owns the company that puts it out. He wrote MemberPress, so I met him at MicroConf, incidentally. But
oh, nice.
Yeah, he lives out here, so it was like, hey, let's get together for lunch, and we were scheduled twice, and then made it happen on Monday. So
cool.
Yeah, he actually gave me a whole bunch of great advice on setting things up so that it works well on devchat.tv.
Nice.
And in fact, going to that conversation really quickly, I've pretty much got the theme done, everything set up, and mostly ready to go. So at this point, I'm just adding in ads. I've got one more menu to set up, and then I'm done.
Nice. Yeah, I looked at it on my phone a couple of days ago when you sent the URL to our mailing list, and it worked perfectly. Like I could go to all the different shows, I could see the episodes, it was really slick.
Yep. So I'm having a little bit of data entry done too, because I need somebody to go back through and actually put the basically the audio URLs, the download URLs for the
Right.
shows in, and the episode numbers, and yeah, then we're good to go. So
Nice.
that should be done this next week, and I'm hoping to be able to turn everything over May 1st.
Very nice. May 1st seems to be a big day for the Entreprogrammers. That's the day I'm going. I'm killing my monthly subscriptions and going annual only.
Woo!
If you're going to launch DevChat TV's WordPress version on that date. So I was asking about Restrict Content Pro because there's a plugin to limit MemberPress people to only members, only active subscribers of in Restrict Content Pro. That's why I asked about that. Because I'd looked at that as one of my options for the community within Watch Me Code.
Yeah, I'm going to see how much mileage I can get out of MemberPress, and then if it doesn't
Yeah.
do everything I need, I'll talk to Blair, figure out what my options are, and see if there's another plugin I need to add to
Right.
make it work. But
Is
right now,
the-
it's looking pretty promising. So
Is the call cutting out for you guys a lot?
Yeah,
Not
it's
a
doing
lot.
a fair bit for me.
I don't know what's up.
It's happened a couple times for me, but not too bad.
Okay.
So yeah, that's about what I've been doing this week is just getting content put into Watch Me Code, getting things in place for the May 1st cutover, getting the Slack up and running. It's been a pretty crazy, stressful week. Like Wednesday especially was insanely busy. I wrote and published a blog post, edited a video and published it, published a screencast, uploaded a whole bunch of interview episodes to the Watch Me Code interview section, paid taxes, paid bills, took my son to therapy. I mean, it was freaking nuts on Wednesday to the point where at the end of the day I wanted to pull my hair out and kick something. And the whole week seems like it's been me pulling my hair out trying to get all these last little details in place. Like you would think the idea of just kill your monthly subscription and make it annual only is really simple. And it could be that simple. Just turn one off, turn the other on, and be done with it. But as I move down this path, I see more and more need to match the value proposition to the price.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing all this work to make that happen and make sure that the value really is there, which means I'm doing just a crap ton of work to make sure that the Watch Me Code Slack is lively and working, and make sure that I've got all my existing interviews posted, and my ebooks that I've got. I had to find a way to get discounts for subscribers so that they could get the books for free, and so I'm ending up with a lot of things that are suboptimal in terms of how I'm organizing stuff and how I'm making the discounts available, but at least it works for now. And so I'm trying to get all these things done and telling everybody that this is all going to go live May 1st has been interesting because I'm actively working on the plugins that I built for WordPress to run Watch Me Code. I'm actively working on code for the media server that I built because there have been a number of bugs and things that I've had to fix. And I'm doing all of this in a way that none of what I'm putting in place goes live on the live website, but it's all there on the live website, so I can just flip a switch on May 1st and be done. And it's been hugely challenging to do all of that because I don't want to have a ton of work on my local development box where I then have to spend all day trying to get all of it in place. I want to literally just be able to say, doop, done, and have everything up and running and in place as if it had always been there. So it's been difficult, but I'm hoping and thinking that the end result will be worth it. And I'm still more and more convinced that this is the right way to go. I know there's going to be a ton of work to continue doing even after this goes live. I haven't touched any of the marketing aspect of this yet. So the way the website still reads right now, it still reads like this is a subscription model, and I need to re-emphasize the model so that it is educational product sales with an all-access pass for 1 year if you want that option. And that's going to be the focus, the marketing focus moving forward, to really push the annual subscription instead of the monthly subscription.
Cool. It's good that you have a date too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Giving myself a deadline, otherwise I'd never get it done.
So you pretty much just is your only real promotion of this just going to be some last minute like join now or else type of emails, or are you?
Yeah, I've been doing that.
Yeah,
and I've had a good number of people sign up. I'm currently sitting at 400 subscribers, paid subscribers.
Oh, nice.
I was at 385 when I sent out that first I'm changing the pricing structure email.
You could just threaten this every quarter. Or so,
Exactly.
you know?
It's like,
Instead of doing a sale.
Yeah, I
sale.
decided not to. So I'll do it again in 3 months.
Just like, if I don't get 25 new subscribers out of this right now,
exactly.
I'm raising the price. So there.
And Chuck will slit the throat of a kitten with
That's
that.
right. Chuck will shave his cat live on air.
Chuck's
yeah,
allergic to cat hair, so
it's been pretty nice seeing my numbers. I haven't been at 400 paid subscribers in basically since January, so it's really nice to see that number 400 on the screen right now, which I expect by the end of next week that'll have gone down a little more because it fluctuates constantly. But seeing the number of new subscribers. Looking at the report right now, I've had 30 new subscribers this month in 22 days, which is pretty dang good. That's well over one a day,
Nice.
which is really nice. Haven't had that in a long time.
We hit a new simple programmer milestone. Thanks to Josh, we hit over 10K for a month in product sales.
Nice.
Yeah, without doing a sale, although we did this month. So we had a bunch of people who hadn't been through the Plinko machine yet. So we April 1st I dropped all of them, April Fools, into the Plinko machine. They started getting emails from that, and it's been pretty crazy actually. We've been selling like 5 to 10 copies of the learning course a day, and I think yesterday we hit like $1,500.
No, we hit like
Nice.
1,900 yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I don't understand. The Plinko machine people that you put in on April 1st, they should have already gone through it, right?
Well,
we
it's
shouldn't
a
be
bit.
getting more of that?
Yeah, it's also keep in mind it's kind of a perpetual motion machine. So people that go through, if they hadn't taken the blogging course, they would potentially go through that. Then they come back in, then they might get on the learning course. So there's a little bit of the long tail on it could be a month or two. I'm not really sure how long it would take the effects to wear off.
Yeah, yesterday was nuts. I guess it was around 1,700, but we're at like 12K for the month.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. And people aren't coming through the sales thing because that's 3 months. So that's definitely not happening at this point. So.
Yep. Yeah. So we've got the kind of like the evergreen initial sales funnel, and then we're starting to build out an evergreen sales funnel that will happen automatically at 90 days, 180 days. So we'll have these basically quarterly sales, but they're quarterly based on when you subscribed versus like being a live, everybody gets it at the same time kind of thing.
And once that how to market yourself sales page, the new one you're working on, goes live, we should see a big uptick in
yeah, I've been so my entire week basically has been, I finished the draft of that last Friday, and it was like 11,000 words. And
it was an ebook all on its own.
It was an ebook all on its own.
You're going to have to run a sales and marketing page just to read the sales.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what the emails are, really.
That's true.
Seriously, that's how I treat the emails. Actually, that's what my email was about this morning, is that I was actually talking about the conversation we had, Derek, about not putting pricing in the emails, and the reason I don't do that is because I want to have 10,000 words before I tell them what the price is going to be.
Right.
I don't want to have to do it in 150 or 200 words. So I finished that up on Friday, and then I have been just like formatting that into Thrive all week, and it's just very tedious. I want to definitely. We need to find somebody, not a designer, but somebody who can do that layout for us. There's some, I think I still would want to be involved at some level because I'd want to tweak. I'd like somebody to just go through and because you're taking individual blocks of text almost paragraph by paragraph and putting them into text boxes. That's what's so tedious about it. So it's every time you hit a headline, that's a new text box, and then you have a body copy box, and you put, and then when you copy and paste into Thrive, this is what makes me want to slip my wrists. When you copy and paste into Thrive, it deletes all the paragraph returns.
Oh yeah.
So I have I'll copy and paste 10 paragraphs in, and of course I'm Mr. one line paragraph. So I have to go in and look for all of the period, no space, capital letter.
Yeah.
And break the paragraph there, and so it's like I'm punishing myself with the short paragraphs. But so that's just super tedious. We need to get somebody hired to do that. But for this, I just decided to go ahead and bite the bullet. Thrive was really nice though, because I was able to export the sales page that I did for the last sales page I did for the 10 Steps course. I exported it, and I was able to import it directly into the Simple Programmer site, and and it was completely there. I mean, it was 100%. So I'll be able to. I want to take right now we have 3 different domains, which is really silly. We've got 3 WordPress instances, and so we're just gonna have products/10 steps, products/how to market yourself, and but yeah, I was anticipating having to rebuild that whole freaking page and spend a week on that, and it looks like I'll just be able to import it and then change links in Drip, and we'll be pretty much there. So
that would be awesome.
So that kind of makes up for some of the pain of the form. But yeah, the rich text formatting in Thrive is painful. It's still better than most other tools I've used, but I'm almost done with it, and I'll be really glad to be finished.
And Josh made me put an embarrassing image.
Oh yeah. I was like so.
The one standing next to the gumball machine.
No,
he's got some better ones. He's got he's got the one where he kind of looks like a character from Monty Python Search for the Holy Grail, where he's sitting behind his computer. I'm not going to use that one for this, but we definitely have to use that for something. I've got the one that I picked was him holding up. He's got I forget what the book was, but he's got this book out, and he's like, he's got this real goofy expression on him. So that's the story starts back when John was 24, I think, or 23. So that picture's kind of from we're starting before John was the success that he is today. So the picture is kind of a flashback.
Nice.
But yeah, it should work out well. I thought that the sales page, the copy was awesome, so it had me hooked, because I pulled it up on my phone when I was waiting a few minutes, and then I was reading and reading and reading. I only planned to just skim it because I was gonna go back and read it later, but I ended up just reading. So that was a good sign. I was like, if it's got me hooked where I've got to keep on going, then
when you're taking out your own credit card to buy your own product.
I want some of this magic.
Somebody.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm firmly in the throes of the oh my gosh, this sucks, it's going to bomb phase of things, but we'll see how it does. It's kind of it's really a no-risk proposition because we're not doing a launch, we're not doing anything. We just have foot traffic going to that page already, and I'm just gonna stick the thing up and see what happens. And if we can even sell, right now basically the conversion rate on the other page is 0, effectively. I mean, we sell a couple copies a month, but it's funny because it's not really that bad of a sales page, honestly. I think the problem with it is just where it starts. It starts in a kind of the headline and the lead of the story. Just I don't think are a really don't really hit people where they're at, and I think that's really what kills it.
And the
So
packaging is not good. I mean, I think one
yeah,
of the things that you're really good that really helped with the 10 steps and is going to help here too is just the fact that you've broken it out into showing all these
yeah.
bonuses, and that
Hmm.
makes a huge
I
deal.
probably spent 2,000 words describing the product, and it
Yeah.
was because it's like 4 ebooks, 2 video courses, and then a bunch of other stuff. So I made all of the other stuff into bonuses, and then I made the ebooks and the video courses into modules, showed how they link up so that they made them look so that you can see how the stuff in them relates. And then I had to write the hardest part for me is writing bullet points where you take features, or like sections of the book, interesting parts of it, and then you write little teaser copy for it. So it's sort of like hints at what the benefit is, but doesn't tell you what how to actually get it. And that's the hardest part usually of a sales page. And I had to do those for each module and section. So it was like, I think I probably wrote like 200 bullets for this thing. It was crazy.
Mm.
Wow.
So we'll
So
see. Yeah, I
yeah,
think it'll do well. I think we'll see a big lift. I think we'll see 3x at least, but
that
maybe
would be
more.
awesome. Yeah, I'd be happy. I mean, yeah, I'll be happy if it doesn't bomb. But
Yeah.
I feel like I was like, I'm pretty nervous about it because the other one converts pretty well, and I want this one to do well too. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
and then I mean, and this is just the first phase because we still have the email sequence
yeah,
that you
yep,
can.
I'm gonna do another email course similar to what we've got.
Yeah.
At least one, maybe we do a few of them.
And I mean, you're selling. I mean, with the 10 steps, it's working so well that the majority of the sales are full price.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is kind of cool. Like,
Yeah.
yep.
whereas
Yeah,
with
we
the
had. So I put up one thing I did was I put on the. So we've got the email course that sells 10 steps is the 5 learning mistakes course, and I had John do a bonus on the thank you page. I had have a video. It's like a 5 to 10 minute video where we did a bonus 6 learning mistake, and then at the end of that, John's pitching the 10 steps course, and we have so far this month we've sold 20 of our like 60 some sales have come from that landing page, which
Nice.
yeah.
really surprised me. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that wasn't converting at first actually, but now it seems like it's actually become a nice little feeder.
Yeah. I've been surprised at how well my kind of evergreen funnel has been working with the Rabbit MQ stuff since I made changes to it. I split things out and I have it so that you don't get offered a discount initially, and I've started making a fair number of full price sales. I still don't have a huge entry funnel for this, but this month alone I've had I think 3 full price sales and another discount sale, and then last month I had a couple of full price sales and discount price sales as
That's
well.
awesome. Yeah, that's where the Plinko machine or something like that is so
Yeah.
useful because you can have this huge funnel.
Right.
You don't have to normally you'd have to blog your brains out about RabbitMQ,
Mhm.
but now it's like it doesn't matter. You can blog about whatever the hottest thing of the week is for Node,
Yeah.
and eventually
Get them in the
people
Plinko
will end
machine.
up. Yep.
Right.
Eventually people will end
But
up on that.
my strategy of Stack Overflow has been working really well for RabbitMQ stuff because I haven't. I mean, it's been several weeks since I've blogged about RabbitMQ, but I've had 2, 5, 15, 19, 23, 25 people sign up for my RabbitMQ
Nice.
specific email course just this week,
Right.
and I haven't blogged about RabbitMQ in a while. So it's traffic coming from Stack Overflow posts
Mhm.
onto RabbitMQ, and then the very targeted popover to get the RabbitMQ patterns email course that's getting people in there. So that's working really well, and I believe that's what's converting people into sales. Some of the sales that I'm getting, I don't have good tracking on where the email address is coming from, because it's like, oh, there's a sale, let me go check Drip, and it's the very first thing they did was buy.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, I need to figure out where
Right.
those sales are coming from. How did they find my product? How did they end up on my site? And
Mhm.
I gotta get that script that you guys have to join multiple email addresses into a single JIT person. So yeah, it's the tracking side of this is still killing me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to try it. We need to get that straightened out. It's working fairly well for 10 steps, so of course I'm going to break everything by moving it to a different website.
Of course.
But I think we'll be able to, right now the tracking's not really working for how to market yourself, so we'll get everything. I'm going to focus on getting everything working pretty well. We still get a pretty decent chunk of sales from direct none in Google Analytics, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
And that really just means Google doesn't know where they came from, and there's like a bunch of different ways that can happen. So
yeah, DuckDuckGo search engine won't add referrals. People have blockers, anonymizers that they use.
Yeah.
They open Google Incognito windows. I do that constantly. If I know I'm going to hit a product site that I don't yet trust.
Site.
Right, yeah. Product site in quotes. If I'm going to hit a site that I don't trust because I haven't been there or because I know it's a site that I don't want tracking me, I open an incognito window and paste in the URL. So there are a lot of different things people do to not get those tracking cookies and whatnot added, myself included.
Crazy tinfoil hat crowd.
Exactly. Did you see my hat in the background or something? I thought I hid that. So. Actually, I wear the giant Lego head. It's lined with tinfoil.
There you go.
The lead-lined Lego.
Exactly.
Lego helmet.
You need something to suck on the lead bar in there.
Exactly.
So I kind of have been thinking about, like, I needed to make a decision about my Sublime list.
Why haven't you sold that to Wes yet?
Well, so Wes has actually kind of bowed out on me.
Really?
Yeah. So Wes has been doing the emails for me for about a year or so, and he kind of stopped submitting them. So I emailed him, and I was like, he's always really busy and hard to get a hold of anyway. So I emailed him and said, hey, I noticed there hasn't been an email in a couple of weeks. What's going on? And he's like, yeah, I'm just honestly having a hard time coming up with new content. So, and we weren't making a ton of sales of his products, so I think he's kind of just lost interest, and it's not really, it's not super beneficial for him at this point.
Yeah, he's kind of bankrolling off of his React for Beginners course right now.
Yeah, that launch went really well.
Huge, and then he's got all the actual in-person community stuff that he does up there.
Right. So he doesn't need me anymore.
Yeah, that's
basically.
Exactly.
So I don't know. It's costing me basically $500 a month to keep the list.
You need to do something.
So we've been, I was working with Chuck to try to get a sponsor, and then that for right now that looks like that's going to fall through for this, at least for this quarter.
Your list has been so historically violently reacting to sponsorships.
The sponsor, they do not tolerate solo emails, which is where I send out an email about a specific unsublime related topic.
Okay.
Sure. But I can do, like, the sponsorship that I was doing with Wes was the weekly emails was just basically a banner ad in the email.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm actually considering. So I've been for the last week. I got back on the 1,000 words a day bandwagon, and I'm really liking it. It really helps me kind of warm up in the morning, and I'm thinking that I might point whatever words are, point the cannon at Sublime, and kind of just dive back into that. So I'd probably still do my daily emails for my list, but then start. So this morning I sent out an email with a survey, and so far just to see. So a couple things. So I looked at how I was like, okay, how how active is my list? So I have 65,000 people. How many of those people are actually reading emails?
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked at the lead score, which basically I looked to see how many people have a lead score in drip of at least 10, which
Mm-hmm.
means that they've probably opened, 2 or 3 emails and clicked a link in the last few weeks. And the 33,000, so basically half of the list has a lead score of at least 10. So they're like fairly active. They're reading the emails. I'm still getting, on a good email, I'll get an open rate of 35%.
Mm-hmm.
On a 65,000 person list. And so I sent out this survey today, the Glenn Livingston style survey, to see kind of like what problems people are having. And so far I have gotten 1,900 responses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wasn't it 1,500 at the start of this recording?
Yeah. I sent the email at 10 o'clock, so
crazy.
they're still okay. Yeah. So they're still rolling in pretty strong here.
Yeah.
So, and I think that email, I'm betting that email is going to have like because I'm doing the one giveaway. I'm giving away one license to a person
to literally everybody that responds.
No. Yeah.
Respond to the survey and get a free license. Wait.
Tried to be super
Hold
clear
on.
about this in the email, that I was giving away one to the person whose answer was most helpful.
See,
so
there's a danger in doing that, though, because you end up getting people that want that free license.
well, but I'm actually willing to trade that for the responses. Like if I'd honestly rather get 4,000 responses, I'll probably get close to 3,000 responses from this. I'd rather get that than get 300.
Yeah.
So, because I just think, so the real problem I've had with this audience in the past is that the problems that people have are so idiosyncratic to their workflows that I've had a really hard time drawing a circle around a group of related problems and saying, okay, I can make another product for this.
Yeah.
That solves this set of problems. So I'm going to look at the survey, and I'm going to try to figure out from this if there's like some really well, and then like a lot of the problems that people complain about, the most common problems, are literally just deficiencies in Sublime that I can't fix because it's it's like there's a core product there that I can't change. So I don't know. I'm kind of just gonna see what I get out of the survey, and I'm kind of considering like, could I do some smaller products? I mean, even if I did some smaller throwaway projects that I sold for a few bucks, just to see if it's worth my time to keep pursuing it, that really wouldn't be that much effort. So
see, I keep hearing you talking about this and the amount of money that you're spending on this, and just thinking you really need to get out of this.
Well, yeah. So I'm gonna give a selfish pitch here.
okay.
No, and
I'll help you.
let me preface John's selfish pitch by saying I am going to 100% back everything that John says for the same reasons. I'm predicting that right now.
Okay, I'm just gonna. This is the simple of it.
Right.
Drop them into the Plinko machine, and here's why. One, yes, a lot of people will get pissed off and unsubscribe and be like, I don't know what Simple Programmer is. But two, if you drop 65,000 people into that Plinko machine, we're going to automatically hit milestone 1. And we're probably going to retain about 10,000 subscribers that are active. That means when we launch a course, we're going to essentially, since we're at like 24,000 subscribers right now, we'll probably, at least add another, third to the revenue of the launch. Plus, we should increase recurring revenue from those subscribers as well. So, I mean, you're paying money for the list. Like, even if you monetize this list, like, you're going to make a couple of grand off of it probably per month. And it's probably not going to be much more than that. It's really hard to sell into Sublime. These are developers. I think that honestly, like, I mean, this will be the best thing. I mean, yes, this would be beneficial to me. Of course it would, but but since since your milestone 2 is becoming 49% owner of Simple Programmer, I think this puts you
Hmm.
it boosts you way down the track of hitting that.
Hmm.
And I don't see any, like, if I saw that, I mean, if you weren't struggling with this thing and you were just focusing on it and not focusing on the Simple Programmer stuff, then maybe you could make something out of it. But I still don't think that there's enough money in the
Yeah,
Sublime itself. But
100% agree.
with developers, I mean, if you drop them in the Plinko machine, we're going to hit on something that's going to interest them and be
Yeah,
able to sell to them.
and beyond that, this to me is the same situation that I was in a month ago when I was thinking about hiring a designer to revamp the Watch Me Code website, with you guys smacking me in the face and saying, Derek, stop, you're being an idiot. You have a history of spending money on this stuff that you don't need to spend for no results. I see the same pattern in you with your Sublime list, Josh. You're spending $500 a month. That is not insignificant. On top of that, you're spending your time on this, trying to make something work, when it would literally be more profitable for you to delete the list and never think about it again.
Well, that's not true because I've got it's kind of so last year I probably made 30 grand off of it. So if I got it to the point where if I built I built an email course.
Is that 30 grand in revenue, just raw
That's
numbers?
y-
Because
Probably,
you
yeah.
spent $6,000
Right, yeah.
just having the list, and then you
Right.
spent time on that list.
Not last year, really, not much.
Not,
So
but it's just
yeah.
everything about this list just screams get out to me, because it distracts you from the things that are really going to launch you and get you out of the. I mean, you're clearly successful now. There's no question about that. From where you were 2 years ago, huge success. This will skyrocket you. This will give you the ability to focus on the things that will launch you into the stratosphere this year.
What are you saying as far
Getting
as
rid of Sublime will do that.
Well, I mean, it hasn't been a distraction for me at all this year. Like basically zero.
Other than spending hundreds of dollars a month on it and
Yes.
talking about it now and wanting to spend time on it.
Which has been mostly off. I mean, basically, I think this year it's probably about a net wash. Like I haven't spent any money on it because I've made some income. If I'm able to get the sponsorship, that's like we were talking about basically $10,000 a quarter. So that's like not an insignificant amount of money.
But is that where you want to really focus your time and money and effort?
Well, let me chime in here, because if he can find somebody else that will find the sponsorships, and he can find somebody else who will write for the list, or it just doesn't take him that much time to write for the list,
then you should sell it to that person.
Well,
yeah.
I still think that your most profitable thing will be to drop it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll also be able to sell your Sublime stuff to Simple Programmer audience as well. So
is there okay? I'm really not comfortable with that because that is basically spamming.
Well,
and
not really.
Yeah, no, it is because they didn't sign up for that. If some other website, I mean, basically morally there's not a distinction between buying that and me buying a list from like Telerik or something. I mean, like there's no moral distinction there other than I happen to own the list and I happen to work with Simple Programmer. So there's no money changing hands, but effectively it's the same thing. And it could even technically get us into legal trouble.
Yeah.
I doubt anybody would do anything about it, but it could get the Simple Programmer list blacklisted. If enough people complain about report spam, it could hurt our deliverability there. I'm just really not. I mean, and just honestly for me, there's a lot of people on that list that I know, or that and people that have been following me for a long time, and I feel like that would be taking my own reputation and flushing it down the toilet.
Well, I mean, you can always send an email. We can always send an email out that says what we're doing. Just being totally upfront about it, being like, I think this will be valuable to you. We've sort of merged businesses, you know,
That I would consider.
and
Yeah,
just say
You
give
know,
that you
like
joined, just say that
basically.
you joined Simple Programmer, that we made a business
right.
partnership, that is
Mm,
Give them
something,
an opt-in to it.
well, opt
and
out.
then
I would make
it
it an
gives,
opt out,
Oh,
but
okay.
right, and it gives you the option to, yeah, you make it an opt out, and it gives you the option also to like to say why you joined Simple Programmer and the
Right.
value that it brings to them. So now you can
hmm,
actually, sell them without selling them. Uh, just talk about why you joined it and why you thought it was a good future.
hmm. Okay.
I mean,
Now this is.
honestly, like I know that, like, yeah, obviously I want you to do this, but I honestly think it'll be the best for you because, I mean, which will be better, you having, 100% of this thing that may generate you 3 to 4 thousand a month. Let's say if you got that sponsorship,
Hmm.
or to have 49% of Simple Programmer generating 20 to 30 thousand dollars a month,
Hmm.
right? Which I think
And
would be
that's the
more.
same perspective I'm coming from with this. When you it's any time and money that you spend on this is going to it looks like it's going to be a boost in your income and revenue right now, but it's going to be time and effort that distracts you from what we already know is significantly better for you professionally and income wise.
I
If you
think
want to
there's
do it
there's
as a
some
pet project, if it's something that you really want to do because you just have this deep-seated desire to spend that time and money on it, well, okay. I mean, we
Yeah, then
can't
it's
force you
different.
to shut
Yeah.
it down,
Yeah.
but this is this your signal leaf? I mean, you're not losing as much money as I did, but
Yeah. Well,
it's
yeah. I mean, the difference between this and Signal Leaf is I know I could do a $7 product and probably make $30,000 on it.
I knew how to make signal leaf profitable. I still
Right,
have no
but
question about
yeah, but
how
that's
to how
like
to do that.
it's pretty different. It's pretty different to be from taking 3 years working part-time or full-time on something to make it successful versus being able to put something together in a month and make $30,000. Like that's a pretty big difference.
All right, I'm gonna push on a couple of things here
Yeah, go for it.
because I have some thoughts. First of all, so you're talking about what it could be,
Right. Versus
but
what it.
the thing is that are you really going to spend the month putting together the $7 product so that you can make $30,000? And also,
Right.
does that get you where you want to go?
No, just John, just so we're clear, I'm not I'm not seriously considering taking a month off of Simple Programmer stuff to do anything
Oh
with it.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's,
And that right there is more evidence.
Right.
right.
I'm putting it out there just because I think it's important to consider. The
Right.
other thing to consider is what will you do with it, and what will that cost you in other places? I mean,
Yes.
how much time will it cost you? How much attention or focus is it going to cost you? I mean, it may be worth keeping, it may not be, but I think John and Derek have made some valid points that you at least need to think about, and
Hmm.
then figure out, okay, so what does this list actually give me? You
Mhm.
can't consider it on the basis of, well, I've put all this time and effort and money into this. You
Hmm.
have to look at things going forward and really evaluate how this works and what it gets you. And then
Yeah.
if you find, okay, um, you know, this really is going to help me, get down the road here or there or wherever you think it's going to get you, then you can make that determination. But make that determination with the plan in mind of actually executing that stuff, and give yourself a drop dead date. Well, if I don't execute by this point in time, then clearly I've dropped another $5,000 on this and it wasn't worth it, and so I need to find some other way to exit and
Hmm.
make the best of it. But I think you have a lot of considerations to make there. I think it is an asset that you can figure out how to make work for you. But at the same time, I mean, if your primary focus is getting to that 49% on Simple Programmer, it may not be worth it, even though there's value there. So, I mean, really just evaluate that. Think it through, figure it out, make sure that it's going to get you to the situation you want to be in, and then make a good determination on that.
Yeah, I mean it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean it's a pretty decent sized asset. I just if there was somebody that would buy it for I think it's worth an email list of that size. But see, the problem is I would only sell to somebody who would actually use it for
Yeah.
what it's intended for. So that pretty much eliminates pretty much nobody's going to buy it for what. For me to be willing to sell it, I'd want to get at least 5 figures for it.
You need to have revenue that you can show will
Yeah.
be, and then you can get your multiplier. So, Adrian,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I think, I mean, going and taking it immediately and dropping it into another person's campaign is probably not the right call. I think, and you can look at it from a moral perspective or not. And truthfully, I don't really care about that. I think the bigger issue is you risk getting the simple programmer list blacklisted, and you risk really actually hurting the simple programmer list. I think when it comes to like these decisions, the first that basically turn into a binary decision tree where it's yes or no. Is this a project that you want to work on 5 years from now? Yes or no, and continue working down the tree. And in this case, it seems pretty obvious that it's not something that you want 5 years from now. And I'm all about making traumatic, life-changing decisions and traumatic, life-changing goals that will really make you uncomfortable almost. And the fact that you feel uncomfortable at this is a good sign, but because you're having trouble letting go of it. But on the flip side, you look at all the positives of what's happening with Simple Programmer, and potentially that is where you will be 5 years from now. Anything outside of that is simply a distraction. So because of that, I do what you guys were suggesting. Just have that opt out, send out an email, and say truthfully, this is what happened. I'm involved with John now. This is why I'm involved. We're doing some really cool stuff. If you don't want to be part of this anymore, then opt out. That's one way to look at it, and that's probably the way I would look at it. However, from a protecting yourself point of view, you have to also ask yourself, are you going to get to that 49% with John? Because if you do not, you just sacrifice one of your assets. So the point is you're betting on yourself right now. That should make you feel uncomfortable because it is something that is uncomfortable.
Right.
But by doing this, I think it will motivate you that much more further to get to that 49%.
Are you going to hedge your bets and say, oh, if I don't get to this 49%, I still have, or are you going to go all in and get yourself to that 49%?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I don't know that this is a decaying asset, right?
Yeah.
Like all digital property, and anything we make is a decaying asset where Sublime's not going to be around forever. It's already, the popularity is already leveled off. It's not like I could probably grow it, but it would be more linear growth. Like it would be tough to, it's going to be tough to really ramp it up much more. Yeah.
I also guarantee you, like we can almost guarantee that, like the number of extra sales that we'll probably make on the next course, the next product launch we do, will probably be more than what you were going to charge to sell the list for your split, if you think about it, right? Because if it's, let's say it's, say we add 10,000 people to that, actually, like let's say 50,000 people unsubscribe, but 10,000 stick around, and we get a couple percent conversion on that, and then you're getting 30% of the revenue. So I would say that that's going to be well into the five figures.
That's a good point.
So again, I'm not trying to like, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to like beat you up about it, but I honestly think it is the best thing for you. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it, because
Yeah.
at this point we're already, because I want to see you hit the 49%. I mean, at this point you've done enough for Simple Programmer where I've already got a significant lift. It doesn't matter if as far as like my revenue whether or not you hit the 49%, but I'd
Right.
rather you hit it so that we for your benefit
Mm-hmm.
and so we can continue working together. But
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this is definitely giving me something to think about. Tough call.
Yay!
So this is my what is it, 402 gone or what is it, the
410 gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my version of that.
Yep.
we could also sample a smaller portion too, like drop like.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I could do it to 1,000 people and see what the reaction is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd probably take a bigger chunk, more like 6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say 10% would be a good.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in fact, that's how we'd want to do it anyway. We wouldn't want to just drop 65,000 people into a.
Right.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. What could? Nothing at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you did 10% a month, even, I mean that's a hugely long time frame, 10 months out.
Right.
But if you
Yeah,
did,
what I could do would be, I think what I would do would be to take the 10,000 and just drop them onto the RSS emails for a couple weeks or a month, and then drop them into the Plinko machine and do them in batches like that. So it's not like, hello, I'm now emailing you every day as someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well, and you won't take the big hit all at once as people
Yeah.
subscribe.
You're going to get a lot of unsubscribes, even if you give
Yeah.
them the opt-out, and you can temper the damage to the list.
Well,
Right.
I think what I would do, like, I probably would not. So on my side, I'd send the opt-out email. The link would not actually be an opt-out link. It would be a tag
yeah.
link, because otherwise I'm going to have like a 25% unsubscribe rate from that email, and Rob's going to be like, "We shutting you down."
Yeah.
Exactly.
So to soften the blow, leading up to it, you could create a little mini series where John does stuff related to Sublime Text to slowly ease them into it.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Transition.
And that it smooths out the transition, and it also gives more credibility for moving them over to Simple Programmer, because they're now getting content from John anyways.
I mean, I would make Simple Programmer. I would have John start creating Sublime Text content now, and now, like, say he does one piece of Sublime Text content per week for the next 5 months. That'll give you a good, sort of baseline to work with. Then, for every content article that John writes, that is sponsored inside the Sublime Text newsletter.
Right.
So all those emails will go back to John. And then finally, like, say 5 months from now, you start the conversion process. It's a lot more noticeable, a lot more understandable. It's a lot more. It doesn't feel scammy. It's just, okay, things merged. That happened. This isn't the first time I've seen Simple Programmer name before.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, there's not. There is no newsletter right now. That's the thing. So, basically, we would have to take content and make the newsletter, because the newsletter effectively is done without Wes creating it.
Just send out a "Hi everyone" email to everyone and watch it all unsubscribe.
Yeah, well, if you can get Wes to write an email or two that go out over the next month or so, that
If
I mean, I can
transition.
if John can get Wes to write some Sublime posts for Simple Programmer,
oh, there you go.
and then you email it out through your list.
I'm not sure that we'd even be able to do that, because I think he's kind of moved on. Like, I just don't think he's interested in producing that kind of content right now.
Fair point.
So,
But he might be interested in getting in front of the Simple Programmer audience.
Yeah.
So if he writes a guest post.
that's true.
Yep.
So that, and hey, link back, right? The page rank. I don't think he has a link back from us. So
True. Yes. Hmm.
Lots of options.
Yeah.
yeah.
Have we beat this horse enough? Because I have something I got to bring up too.
And
Do
we're
it.
already past 2 hours.
I know.
Yeah. Do it.
I feel bad taking the conch away from Josh, but
Take it.
anyway.
Mine.
Take a check.
Mine.
Piggy's got the conch.
But yeah, so we did for the 150th episode of Freelancer Show. Mandy and I jumped on and we talked about our contracting relationship. And yeah,
On the air.
on the air. It was
Wow.
really interesting. A lot of great advice in there. But
I quit.
the thing that was interesting was that we both have decided that we would like to change the nature of the contract so that it's a fixed amount per month instead of
Yeah,
per hour.
by the hour.
By the way, I move that all union negotiations from now on need to happen on a podcast.
Yes, on air.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
The-
So a number has been put forward.
Yep.
The number is a little bit more than what I've been paying her to date.
Mhm.
However, the responsibilities entailed also have increased.
Mhm.
What this does for her is it effectively allows her to go out and find people to do some of the work, and then she can monitor and manage and get more stuff done for that price. So I think in the end I'll wind up getting a better value on my money through this. But the issue that I have is that because it's that much more every month, and I'm not going to put the number out there because this is going public, but because it's that much more every month, it does make things a little bit tight for me month to month. The flip side of that is that one of the things she's going to take on is finding sponsors and following up with them to make sure that everything works for them. So if she takes that on and makes it a priority early, then conceivably I could wind up bringing in more money every month, and it won't be an issue being able to pay her.
Is this in any way offset by the Rails developers that you will no longer be paying once you go live on WordPress?
Yes. Yeah, that's true. The increase in her pay could be covered by what I'm no longer paying this other developer.
I don't like the idea of you increasing her pay so she can build a team. I like the idea of you bringing her on to your team, and you
Yeah, I've gone back
having
and
the
forth on
resources
this.
under you.
And ultimately, I mean,
Because for a reason that I don't know why John said that, but he suddenly I'm sorry. You sparked a thought in my head.
John.
I'm trying to get a thought out of my head, and it's coming out very wrong at the moment. It sounds like you're talking about an employee. That's
right.
Yeah.
So there is that. However, I'd be contracting with her company, and it wouldn't necessarily be her doing all the work. She does have other clients,
okay.
and so there are other arrangements there. As far as her building her own team versus building my team, we had that conversation. There are definitely trade-offs there, but the one end of it is that ultimately, if it's my team, then I feel like I have to have a different level of involvement than if it's her team. And I do like the idea of just saying, okay, do all this stuff. I mean, just make it happen. And then I don't have to worry about who does it and how.
Here's
But
the
she's
problem.
not immortal, right?
You basically have this is something that was in the E-Myth book, which you're basically you have a single point of failure still, which is Mandy. If Mandy's gone, your entire business is gone overnight. Like, you don't want that.
Yeah.
I really think that having watched John and through this hiring stuff, I really think that having you doing that hiring is really important, and Mandy can play a very strong supporting role and do, maybe she does all the Upwork postings or helps you.
And she can be one
She
of the
does all
decision makers.
all the admin. Yeah, and she does. Maybe
Yeah.
she interviews people too. But I think that you really, really, really need to be involved at in the hiring stuff. Like that's like probably as a CEO. That's like right now. That's probably one of your number one jobs.
Yeah, this is something I keep going back and forth on. I mean, there are other companies out there that more or less do what Mandy does.
Mm-hmm.
So they hire these companies and they make sure the podcasts go out and they make sure they get edited and they do all of the
But
social media management and stuff like that.
Is that the business of those of their clients? More than likely, that is the marketing arm of the business, and their actual business is something else.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Software company.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I was going to say podcasting is your core competency.
Right.
Yes.
You need to control that in-house.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it weren't core competency, I would be all for outsourcing that as a productized service. But
The sponsorships, the relationships
Yeah.
with the sponsors is your core competency. They know you.
That's true.
Once you have that relationship established, you can hand them off to Mandy 100%. You get the relationship built, you get the conversation started, you hand it off to Mandy to manage after that. Josh, your lights are freaking me out right now.
Yeah, I just turned it off. It goes back on automatically at 2:15 because we're supposed to be done.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, this is good. Yeah.
It's all Andy's fault.
Yeah, this is the internal debate, and this is why I haven't said yes.
Right.
Is because
It's such a tough spot to be in.
Imagine here's what you got to do. You got to imagine there are no relationships. There's no crying. There's no pain. Just like I'm not going to say I'm not going totally that direction, but I'm saying start from the clean slate. Start from tabula rasa and say, look, okay, here's where the business is. Here's from financial standpoint, technical jobs that need to be done. How would I construct this right now? Right, just start from that. And then figure out where you are right now, what the gap is, and what you're willing to sacrifice in order to make the difference. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know if that. I mean, you have to consider the possibility of completely eliminating Mandy from your equation. I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying right now you're not considering that because of relationship. And I mean, back me up, guys, if I'm going the wrong
I agree.
way. But I think that is important, and relationships are important. I'm not going to say you just burn people, but you have to first know what you're sacrificing from your ideal business in order to maintain that relationship and how much you're paying for that relationship, so that you can at least make a conscious decision. You can say, look, well, I'm paying X dollars more for this because of this relationship, and then you can sit, and that's fine. You can make that decision, but you got to know it, so that you can make the right decisions, and then you got to make. I mean, you might have to make tough choices, but this is like a common, this is like that one sticking point for you. It's like I feel like if you can get past this, then you can,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your job is to really define. One of your main jobs is to define the roles. And
yes.
the E-Myth, one of the section in there I'm thinking of, he talks about the number one mistake that businesses make when they grow is you start with one person, and then you hire a second person. He calls them Fred, and usually Fred's a bookkeeper. And you and then you start to pile everything onto Fred, and everything's great because Fred's doing everything, and then Fred leaves, or suddenly things. And Fred doesn't have a role. He's just he just does everything, and that's where Mandy is right now.
Yes.
And so if you can carve it up into if you know what the roles are, Mandy wears 3 hats, you wear 2 hats, and then you can start to find other people to wear those hats, and you should be the one to hire people for those.
I saw somebody ask a question recently, and I think it's sort of related, and the question was, can your manager do your job if you left tomorrow? And the purpose of that was not directly the same as what you're dealing with, but I think it's similar to what Josh is asking about. If we went down this path, and Mandy, for very legitimate reasons that you had no qualms about, left tomorrow, then would you be able to pick all of it up and continue running the business? I think there's
Right.
it ultimately comes down to a business decision where you have to manage your wonderful working relationship with somebody that you really enjoy working with. But it's still a business decision.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's funny because this is exactly the opposite advice that I got from the Freelancer Show guys.
Yeah.
But
fight.
No,
You go,
no,
John.
I
I'll
mean-
take us and I'll take us with.
Yeah,
with John.
Entreprogrammers versus Freelancers show. I mean, I'll sit on some people. This is
but here's the thing. Okay, so ultimately, yeah, I want to get the work done. I think John's
Rumble.
point is interesting because yeah, if I had to set it up all over again, I would probably build my own team. In fact,
Yeah.
I could pretty much guarantee that I would build my own team. And I, instead of having Mandy doing everything, yeah, I'd have audio editors, and I'd have people writing the show notes, and I'd have people, I'd have different people doing some of these different jobs. I'd have somebody else managing the conferences. And I don't have any intention of taking all of this away from Mandy. In fact, I don't have intention of taking a lot of it away from Mandy. But at the same time, I feel like I've kind of saturated her to the point where when I ask her to do something else, sometimes she tells me she can't. And so I'd like to hire another person. I don't know what that looks like. I'm in the process of hiring a video editor right now. And so I'm kind of tempted to and I'm also figuring out that having somebody in a completely different time zone like Philippines is really hard.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I've kind of been opting for people who are in the Americas, at least for right now. But it's and the thing is I want her to be central to the way that things run because I don't want to have to do all that stuff. But yeah, I keep coming back to that. If I did wind up doing it that way, then I'm not sure that paying her a flat fee every month, at least of that amount, would make a lot of sense.
Well, how is that really how is that really a lot different?
Because she would be responsible for getting the podcasts edited, and it would be somebody, either she or somebody on her team would do it, and I would just pay that and it would get done, as opposed to...
But I mean, the main difference here is that the main difference that I'm seeing is that you're just more involved in who that person is.
So
yeah.
And then Mandy handles, once you get through the hiring process, Mandy handles
The relationship anyway.
the relationship, and
Yeah.
and then the contract is with you, which it might be anyway, but if Mandy's the one paying, if Mandy finds them, and Mandy's the one paying them, then if you have a problem with something that one of Mandy's people did,
you got to go through Mandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way I would look at that, I don't think there's anything wrong with a monthly pricing for a consultant.
But
So
I would
what
same.
yeah. So what I might do in that situation is say, okay, we were going to pay you. I'm just going to pretend the number is 5, just 5. So we were going to pay you 5 whatever.
5 money.
5 credits.
Yes, five money. So you were going to hire 4 people, and each of those 4 people was going to get 1 of those 5 monies.
Is that
So-
how it's going to work, Chuck? So I don't think it was.
No.
Right?
No,
You were still gonna.
just run with me here. I'm pretending, throwing an idea out here. So instead of paying Mandy the 5, well, now you're going to pay Mandy the 1, and you are going to hire 4 people that each get paid 1, and Mandy is going to manage them.
But I don't think Mandy was going to get. I don't think Mandy's monthly fee included the salaries or the pay for the other people.
It did.
Not. Oh, it did. Oh, okay.
It did when because
I
it was
see.
going to be her
Yeah.
company that did the
Right.
work.
Right. Okay.
Whereas in this case, it would be a contractor under my company that did.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I that's the gist of the approach that I would probably look at a little more closely.
Yeah.
Since they would not be her employees,
Right.
well, you can't pay her for the work they're doing. You have to pay them. So that would, I hate to say it, but it knocks her monthly fee down by the amount that you're going to pay them, because
Right.
they are
Which
not
she
her
probably
employees.
won't care because she was a pass through anyway.
Right.
One
But
other
Yes
thought,
and no, but I mean,
she's able to mark up their
Yeah,
fees,
every
their
pass
fees, their rate. Yeah.
but the other thing is that if I knock down her hours too much, then she will have to go find more clients, which really isn't my problem. But I don't want to put her in a spot where she's in financial trouble because I cut her pay.
I don't think that. I mean, from what I've heard, from with what you've got going on, I have a hard time imagining that you couldn't fill whatever time you're currently filling with her. Like,
This is true.
Yeah.
and she's already you just said she's oversaturated. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't need to. That shouldn't be your concern at all.
Yeah.
Like from
No,
the
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, where you're at right now, like, I mean, you just kind of said it that if you had to start over, you would hire your team and you'd do it a certain way. You'd have these people doing individual things. I mean, my opinion is I think the best course of action, you don't have to take it, but just based on that is that you should come up with that exact plan of what it would be and
Uh-huh.
and then transition to it.
Figure out how to get there.
Right.
And that would mean slowly that you'll be eliminating
Mhm.
duties from Mandy's. So, but and at some point she might say, "Well, screw you, Chuck, asshole. I'm quitting. I'm not doing any of this work anymore." And that might just be something that you just have to deal with, and then you have to scramble and get those roles filled. But in the long run and sustainability of the business, like if you know what is optimal, like if you're like, I'm not sure, but it sounds like you're pretty sure what you would do and what would be optimal. I think you need to have a plan to get there, and then that'll put you in the best position. And yes, it might be a little bit painful, and maybe there will be a role for Mandy there, or maybe there won't be, but you can't base it off of that. You've got to base it off of what is going to make the most sense.
Well,
And,
the
I
other
mean,
thing is it makes me
Mandy-
much more comfortable to move to the place where it's my team.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then if I need to add responsibilities or add people or add anything, then yeah, it's just my team.
Mandy seems like, so Mandy seems to me like she's the equivalent of Rodrigo, where she's just like a known asset. She's
Yes.
really
yeah, very
competent,
much.
very reliable. Like, you are gonna want to keep her. Like, I guarantee
Yeah.
you, you're gonna
Yeah.
be able to find plenty for her to do. And it could. One thing I did want to throw out there too is instead of increasing her, one way to increase her income a little bit, if that's a concern, would be to have her in some kind of situation where she's helping you with the sponsorships and is getting a commission off of that.
Yeah, I've
Ooh.
talked to her about
Yeah.
that.
So, and she could be, I think you still need to be the guy, but she could be the appointment setter. Like, she could be kind of
Yeah.
doing lead generation for you, basically.
I just don't like mixing salespeople with employees, though.
Well, she's not an employee, but I have
Well,
talked to her about commissions, and
instead
she's not excited about that. So
because then you'll get the work being done on the things that are incentivized and not the things that
Yeah.
so your prioritization will be.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that happens with commission salespeople a lot.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
All right, I guess we should wrap this up. Derek's like,
Yeah, I really gotta go. I mean, if you
we're
guys want
holding
to keep
Adrian
talking,
hostage. We're like,
Right.
hey, come join us for 2 hours. Just kidding, 5 hours.
Yeah, but I have stuff to think about, because again, this isn't something that's, that's obviously, this or that. So
yeah,
Chuck, let's burn our businesses down together. You
burn
and I.
them to the ground.
Hey,
I'll
buy
burn the
John, Jeff.
gasoline.
The dude at Microconf told me to burn my business to the ground.
True. That's true.
All right, should we do our thoughts for the week if we got time to wrap it up?
Sure, mine will be burn your business to the ground. Not really. Man, I don't know.
Derek's checked out.
Well, one thing that I want to just jump in here with as a thought is that, I mean, you guys have been slaughtering my sacred cows, so to speak. I mean, they're things that I didn't or wouldn't think about because whatever. And, just kind of getting the perspective on, okay, well, have you thought about this? Are these are these getting you where you want to go? It's funny because you guys told me what I told Josh. But
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not miss the opportunity.
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's so it may be painful. It may be not obvious. It may be whatever it is that you feel like it is. But that may be the right course forward. Of course, I
Yeah.
still need to think through it and make sure that I know where I'm headed. But yeah.
Yeah, so along those lines, I sent out an email to my mailing list like that I mentioned earlier. You need to get, sometimes you really need to get that other perspective. Sometimes you really need to just have the conversation with somebody to get an outside opinion, somebody that is not financially and emotionally invested in your decisions. Whether it's a good friend, a group like this, random strangers on the street that you walk up to on the beach and record video with. Not that any of us would ever do that.
What do you think about Sublime Text?
Yeah. Just have that conversation with somebody else. Get that other perspective. It's incredibly important in everything that we do because no person is an island unto themselves. We cannot be. We would. I mean, I say I've said countless times that my business would have been shut down and I would be a full-time employee somewhere else if it weren't for this group. And that's the absolute truth because I would not be able to push myself forward the way that you guys push me. Even with my other friends and family that have gone down similar paths, nobody pushes me the way you guys do. So don't try to do this on your own. For anybody listening, go tell your friends that are trying to do this stuff. Don't try to do this on your own because you can't.
And the best place to get that feedback is in the Watch Me Code Slack channel.
That's right.
That's right.
WatchMeCode.net. PieImageSearch.com.
I think I'm going to go with Adrian's. Is this something you want to be doing in 5 years?
Yeah, that's good.
Let's see. I would say mine is no matter how far you think you've come, you still gotta. It never ends. You're
Yeah.
never done. You're never finished. You as a person are never finished. You always can grow. There's always new fears to overcome. There's always new things that you need to work on. As I've been conquering a lot of my fears this year, I've realized that there's still, or in the last couple of years, there's still a bunch, and I still have to, and I'm still not there at execution. I mean, part of also like that recording on the beach was one of those. Was like, let's just go and let's increase this. Let's take this to the next level. Like, let's keep on taking it to the next level because I think when you get to the point where you're like, well, I reached what I was trying to reach. No, you never do. You keep on going, you keep on growing, and you keep on taking it to the next level, and that's how that's how you live. That's living life to the
It's
fullest.
a journey, not a destination.
Because when you stop growing, you die.
Yeah.
And so you got to keep growing, and it doesn't. Exactly. It's a journey. It's not the destination. You're never going to be there, but you're always going to keep on pushing that envelope. Further and further, and that's I've been doing that. I've been seeing huge increases just in the benefits in my life. But yeah, I always wanted to reach the destination, and now that's not my goal anymore. It's to just keep on pushing it. How far can I take this? How far can I push myself, and how much can I grow?
Adrian?
I guess mine would be to set traumatic, life-changing goals. If the goals you're working on aren't making you scared and making you feel uneasy, then you need to stop being in your safe space and push yourself farther.
Yep. You won't get there by doing what you did to get here.
Yep. Awesome. Well, same bad time, same bad channel.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for being on, Adrian.
Well, thank you guys for having me on.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it.
All right. See ya.
You guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Take care.